There is a man standing at the edge of a road. It is evening again, the way it has been every evening, for longer than the neighbors can remember. He does not speak. He does not pace. He simply stands where the road from the village climbs toward the hills and then disappears, and he looks at the place where it disappears as if a person might come walking out of the horizon at any moment. People pass him, some look away. Some have started to whisper that the old man has lost himself to grief, that he should let it go, that no one is coming. But he keeps standing there, because somewhere out beyond that hill is his son, and a father's heart does not know how to stop watching the road. To understand why he is standing there, you have to go back to the day everything broke. The younger of his two sons had come to him one afternoon and said the kind of thing that cannot be unsaid. "Father, give me my share of the estate." Now, in that time and in that place, those words carried a weight we sometimes miss. A son did not ask for his inheritance while his father was still living and well. To ask for it early was in effect to say, "I wish you were already gone. I do not want to wait for your death. I want what is mine, and I want it now, and I want to be free of you." And here is the first astonishing thing in this story. The father did not argue, he did not lecture, he did not lock the door. He divided his property between his two sons, and he let the younger one go. Love that is real always carries this terrible risk inside it, the freedom to be left. So, the young man gathered everything he had, turned his back on his home, and traveled to a distant country. And there, far from anyone who knew his name, far from anyone who would remind him who he was, he spent it all. He poured out his inheritance on wild living, on friends who only stayed as long as the money stayed, on every pleasure that promised to fill him and never did. And then, the way it always happens, the money ran out. And the moment the money ran out, a severe famine swept across that whole country. And for the first time in his life, the boy who had everything began to be in need. He went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. Try to feel the fall in that. A young man raised in a home of plenty, a son with servants and a father's name, now standing knee-deep in mud, slopping food to animals. And he was so hungry. This is the detail that should break your heart. He was so hungry that he longed to fill his stomach with the very pods that the pigs were eating. But no one gave him anything. He had reached the bottom. He had spent his way past the edge of the map and arrived at the one place he never imagined. Nothing left, no one left, and no way down from here. And it was there, in the mud at the bottom, that something in him woke up. The story says he came to his senses, and what a phrase that is. As if everything before this moment had been a kind of sleep. He looked at his hands, he smelled the pigs, and he thought, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. Even the lowest worker in my father's house eats better than this. And then he made a decision that takes more courage than almost anything else a human being can do. He decided to go home, but notice how he plans to go home. He does not rehearse a speech about how it wasn't really his fault. He rehearses a confession. He says to himself, I will go to my father and I will say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. He is not going home to reclaim his place. He has given up on ever being a son again. He is hoping at most to be a servant, to be allowed near the house, to eat the food of the lowest worker. That is the size of his hope as he turns and begins the long, shameful walk back. And now we return to the man at the edge of the road. Because here is the line that has made grown people weep for 2,000 years. While the sun was still a long way off, still a speck on the horizon, still too far to see his face, still too far to hear his prepared apology, his father saw him. Which can only mean one thing. The father was watching. He had been watching every evening, scanning that empty road, refusing to give up. And the moment that distant figure crested the hill, before the boy could say a single word, the father knew. And what did this dignified old man do? He ran. In that culture, an older man of standing did not run. He did not gather up his robes and sprint down a dusty road like a child. It was undignified. It was beneath him. He could have waited at the door with his arms crossed and made the boy come crawling. He could have made him earn his way back, inch by inch, the way the boy fully expected to. Instead, the father picked up his robes and ran toward the smell and the shame and the failure, and he threw his arms around his ragged, filthy son and kissed him. The son started his speech. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy." But he never finished it, because the father was already turning to the servants and calling out, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let us have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." The robe, the ring, the sandals, the feast, every one of those was a sign that said, "You are not a servant here. You are a son. You were always a son." The father did not restore him slowly on probation. He restored him completely, instantly, before the boy could even finish apologizing. If you are listening to this tonight and some part of you believes you have gone too far, that you have spent too much, hurt too many, walked too long in the wrong direction to ever be welcomed back, I want you to hold on to this picture. There is a father still standing at the edge of the road. He is not waiting there with his arms crossed. He is watching the horizon for you. And the moment you turn toward home, he runs. There is a second half to this story that we cannot leave out, because it is meant for a different kind of person, and it might be the one you most need to hear. While the feast was beginning, the older son was still out in the field. He had stayed. He had been faithful. He had done everything right every single day for years. And when he came back toward the house and heard the music and the dancing, he stopped a servant and asked what was happening. "Your brother has come home," the servant said, "and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound." And the older brother became angry, and he refused to go in. So the father, the same father who ran down the road for the younger son, now came out a second time and pleaded with the older son too. But the older brother was full of something bitter. "Look," he said, "all these years I have been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes home, this one who squandered your property, you kill the fattened calf for him." Notice he doesn't even call him my brother. He says, "This son of yours, he has done everything right, and his heart has gone cold and hard and far away while his body stayed home." He was lost too, just lost in a different field, and the father answered him so gently, "My son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours." But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. There are two ways to be far from the Father. You can run away into the far country, like the younger son, or you can stand in the field, doing all the right things, with a heart that has grown resentful and proud, like the older son. And the wonder of this story is that the Father comes out for both of them. He runs for the one who wandered, and he pleads with the one who stayed. There is no son too far gone, and no son too self-righteous for him to come looking. So why does God's heart work this way? Why does heaven seem to lean so hard toward the one who is lost? Jesus told two short stories right before the prodigal son to answer exactly that question. He said, "Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it?" Think about that arithmetic for a moment, because by the world's math it makes no sense. 99 is a healthy flock. 99 is success. One missing sheep is an acceptable loss, but the shepherd in the story does not count it that way. He leaves the 99 and goes out into the wild country, into the dark and the danger, and he searches until he finds the one. And when he finds it, he does not scold it. He does not drive it home with a stick. He joyfully lifts it onto his shoulders and carries it. And when he gets home, he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me. I have found my lost sheep." And then Jesus said the line that the whole thing was pointing toward. In the same way, there is more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not think they need to repent. He told it again with a different picture because he wanted to be sure they understood. Suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and loses one. Doesn't she light a lamp, sweep the whole house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and neighbors and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost coin." In the same way, Jesus said, there is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who turns back. One sheep out of 100, one coin out of 10, one son out of 2. Do you see the pattern? In the eyes of heaven, you are never a small number. You are never an acceptable loss. You are the one worth leaving the 99 to find, the one worth lighting the lamp and sweeping the whole house, for the one whose homecoming starts a party among the angels. If you have spent your whole life feeling like just a number, like one face in a crowd of billions, hear this: the God who made the stars knows the road you walk and watches for you to come home. But the love of God is not only patience that waits and searching that goes out into the dark. It is also mercy. Mercy offered at the exact moment a person deserves it least, when everyone around is already reaching for stones. One morning, very early, Jesus was sitting in the temple courts, and the people had gathered around him, and he was teaching them. And the religious leaders, the teachers of the law, and the Pharisees came pushing through the crowd, dragging a woman with them. They made her stand there in the middle of everyone, exposed, humiliated, and they said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say? Understand what was really happening." This was a trap, and the woman was the bait. If Jesus said, "Let her go," they could accuse him of throwing out the law of Moses. If he said, "Yes, stone her," then all his talk of mercy and forgiveness would collapse, and he would be just one more man holding a rock. They did not actually care about justice. They did not even bring the man, though it takes two to commit adultery. They cared about catching Jesus. The woman was simply a tool they were willing to destroy. And Jesus did something strange. He bent down and began to write on the ground with his finger. We are not told what he wrote. The crowd waited. The leaders kept pressing him, demanding an answer. And finally, he straightened up, and he said one sentence that emptied the courtyard. "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Then he bent back down and kept writing in the dust. And one by one, beginning with the older ones first, the ones who had lived long enough to know exactly how much they themselves had needed mercy, they put down their stones and walked away, until there was no one left in that courtyard but Jesus and the woman, still standing there, still waiting for the blow that never came. Jesus straightened up and looked at her, and the way he speaks to her here is so tender. "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. And Jesus said, "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin. Hold both halves of that together, because together they are the whole gospel." He did not pretend her sin was not a sin. He did not say, "It doesn't matter, do whatever you like." He told her to leave that life behind, but he also refused, absolutely refused, to pick up a stone. He, the only one in that courtyard who actually had the right to condemn her, was the one person who would not. That is who he is. He meets you in the worst moment of your life, when you are exposed and ashamed and certain the blow is coming, and instead of the stone, He gives you a door. He gives you a way to walk forward. That is the mercy that God pours over us. And here is where it turns and looks at you and me, because the same mercy God gives is the mercy He asks us to give to each other. Jesus made this unmistakable in a short, sharp story about two men who went up to the temple to pray. One of them was a Pharisee, a respected, religious, upstanding man. He stood off by himself and he prayed like this: God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get. Look closely at his prayer. It is addressed to God, but it is really about himself. Every line is a small monument to his own goodness. And notice the little knife in it, or even like this tax collector. He cannot pray without stepping on someone beneath him. And the other man, the tax collector, and you have to understand, tax collectors in that day were despised, seen as traitors and thieves who got rich off their own people. This man stood at a distance. He would not even lift his eyes to heaven. He beat his chest in grief and said only 7 words, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. And Jesus said, I tell you, it was this man, the tax collector, not the Pharisee, who went home right with God. For all those who lift themselves up will be brought low, and those who bring themselves low will be lifted up. It is one of the great reversals at the heart of everything Jesus taught. The man who came in confident of his own goodness went home empty. The man who came in with nothing but his need went home forgiven. Heaven is not impressed by the list of your accomplishments. Heaven leans toward the honest cry of a heart that knows it needs grace. And if you ever start to wonder whether it really matters that much how we treat each other, whether the small daily choices of mercy and indifference are really weighed somewhere, Jesus told a story so vivid it has haunted people ever since. There was a rich man, he said, who dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every single day. And at his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered in sores, who longed to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. Picture it: the gate, the feast inside, the music, the abundance, and just outside, close enough to hear it all, a starving man dying in the dust. The rich man did not have to be cruel to Lazarus. He did not have to do anything to him at all. That was the sin. He simply walked past him every day and did not see him. In time, both men died. The beggar was carried by the angels to Abraham's side. The rich man was buried and found himself in torment. And looking up, he saw Abraham far away with Lazarus beside him, and he called out, Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in agony in this fire. Notice, even now, even there, the rich man still thinks of Lazarus as a servant to be sent on his errands. He learned the man's name only to use it. And Abraham answered, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, so that none can cross from there to here. Then the rich man begged, Then send Lazarus to my 5 brothers, to warn them, so they don't come to this place of torment. And Abraham said, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. No, Father Abraham, he said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. And Abraham answered with words that land like a verdict. If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. It is a frightening story, and it is meant to be. But the fear in it is not really about fire. It is about the gate. It is about the man we walk past every day and learn to stop seeing. The tragedy of the rich man was not that he kicked Lazarus. It was that he never noticed him at all. And Jesus is asking each of us gently and seriously, who is lying at your gate? Who have you trained yourself not to see? Because in the end, the love God gives is meant to flow through us to exactly those people. And no story Jesus ever told makes that clearer than the one he told when a clever man tried to test him. An expert in the law stood up to test Jesus and asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus turned it back on him. "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" And the man answered well. He answered with the two great commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. You have answered correctly, Jesus said. Do this and you will live. But the man was not finished. He wanted to justify himself, to draw a comfortable line around his obligation. So he asked, "And who is my neighbor?" In other words, where exactly does my responsibility end? Who do I have to love, and who can I leave outside the circle? And in answer, Jesus told the story we now call the Good Samaritan. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, he said, when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. Then a Levite, another religious official, another man devoted to God, came to the place, and when he saw the wounded man, he too passed by on the other side. These were the holy men, the respectable men, the ones you would most expect to stop. And both of them crossed the road to avoid getting involved. But then a Samaritan came along that road, and here you have to feel the shock of it. Samaritans and Jews despised one another. They were enemies separated by centuries of hatred. To the man Jesus was speaking to, a Samaritan was the last person in the world you would expect to be the hero. And yet it was the Samaritan who, when he saw the wounded man, took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. He set the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him through the night. And the next day he took out money and gave it to the innkeeper and said, "Look after him, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense." Then Jesus turned the man's own question inside out. The expert had asked, "Who is my neighbor?" Meaning, who is close enough to me to deserve my love? But Jesus asked instead, "Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" He had changed the whole question. The point is not figuring out who qualifies for your love so you can love a smaller circle. The point is becoming the kind of person who is a neighbor to whoever lies bleeding in front of you. The man could not even bring himself to say the word Samaritan. He just said, "The one who had mercy on him." And Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." Love in the world of Jesus is never an abstraction. It is not a warm feeling you have about humanity in general. It is the very concrete choice to stop on the road, to kneel in the dust, to spend your own oil and wine and money and time on a stranger who can never repay you, especially when everyone respectable is crossing to the other side. And yet, and this is important, Jesus never lets us reduce the whole of life to busy doing, even good doing, because there is a quiet scene that balances all of this. Jesus came to a village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to everything he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. There was a meal to cook, a house to manage, guests to serve, and she was doing it all alone while her sister just sat there. Finally, she came to Jesus, exasperated, and said, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." And Jesus answered her so kindly, repeating her name the way you do with someone you love who is anxious. "Martha, Martha," he said, "you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." He was not scolding Martha for serving. Serving is good. He himself came to serve. He was reaching for something deeper and gentler in her, the part of her that had gotten so busy doing things for him that she had stopped simply being with him. And maybe that is one of the things you most need to hear tonight. In a life that is always loud, always rushing, always full of one more thing that has to be done, few things are needed, perhaps only one, to sit for a little while at his feet and listen. And if your heart tonight is tired of waiting, tired of praying and feeling like nothing changes, tired of asking and hearing only silence, Jesus has a story for that too, and it is one of the most encouraging things he ever said. He told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and never give up. In a certain town, he said, there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what anyone thought of him. A hard man, a cold man, and there was a widow in that town, and a widow in that world was among the most powerless people alive, with no husband, no protector, no standing, and she kept coming to this judge with one plea: grant me justice against my adversary. For a long time the judge refused, but she kept coming, and finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't wear me out with her coming. And then Jesus drew the lesson out, and it is breathtaking. He said, listen to what the unjust judge says, and will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones, who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. The whole argument runs from the lesser to the greater. If even a corrupt, godless judge will finally give justice to a persistent widow just to be rid of her, how much more will a good and loving Father, who actually cares about you, answer the children who cry out to him day and night? Your prayers are not vanishing into an empty sky. The God you are praying to is not a reluctant judge who has to be worn down. He is a Father who is for you. So do not give up, keep coming. But there is one more thing the Father asks of those who have received so much mercy, and Jesus made it the sharpest point of all, because it is the place where we are most likely to fail. Peter once came to him and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Peter probably thought he was being generous. The rabbis of the day taught 3 times. But Jesus said, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times, which is to say, stop keeping count altogether. And then he told a story to show why. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like a king who decided to settle accounts with his servants. As he began, a man was brought to him who owed 10,000 bags of gold, an impossible sum, a debt no person could repay in 100 lifetimes. The man could not pay, so the king ordered that he and his wife and his children and everything he owned be sold to repay it. At this, the servant fell on his knees and begged, be patient with me, and I will pay back everything. It was a desperate promise. He could never have kept it. But the king took pity on him, and instead of merely giving him more time, the king did something far greater. He canceled the entire debt and let him go free. The whole impossible weight gone in a single act of mercy. But then that same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins, a real debt, but a small one, a tiny fraction of what he himself had just been forgiven. And he grabbed the man and began to choke him, demanding, pay back what you owe me. His fellow servant fell to his knees, the very same posture the first man had taken before the king, and begged with the very same words, be patient with me, and I will pay it back. But the forgiven man refused. He had the other thrown into prison until he could pay. When the other servants saw it, they were horrified, and they went and told the king everything. And the king called the man back in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? And in anger, the king handed him over to be punished, until he should pay back all he owed. The meaning is not hidden. Jesus says it plainly. This is how God's mercy and our mercy are bound together. We have each been forgiven a debt we could never repay. The wrongs others do to us are real, but next to what we ourselves have been forgiven, they are 100 coins beside 10,000 bags of gold. To clutch our small grievances tightly, to keep choking the people who owe us, while standing inside an ocean of mercy we did nothing to earn, that is the one thing the story warns us against with everything it has. Forgiven people forgive, loved people love. Mercy that does not flow out through us was never really received. So this is the heart of the Father, laid open in story after story. He waits at the edge of the road and runs to meet the one who comes home. He leaves the 99 and searches the dark for the one. He drops his pen rather than pick up a stone. He lifts up the one who comes empty-handed and humble. He notices the man at the gate that everyone else walks past. He sends help down the Jericho road through the last person we'd expect. He answers the widow who will not stop knocking, and he asks only that, having been forgiven so much, we learn to forgive. If you have wandered far, the road home is shorter than you think, and the Father is already watching for you. If you have stayed and grown bitter, He is coming out to plead with you too. There is no story here in which God gives up on someone. Not one. And that is only the beginning of what He came to show us. One day the crowds grew so large that Jesus did something simple and unforgettable. He went up the side of a mountain and sat down, and when He had sat down, His disciples gathered close around Him, and the people below leaned in to listen, and He began to teach. What came out of His mouth on that hillside has echoed through every century since. It was a description of an entirely different kind of world, a kingdom that does not run on the rules everyone assumed were unbreakable. He started by turning the world upside down. Blessed are the poor in spirit, He said, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Listen to who He calls blessed, not the powerful, not the rich, not the confident, the comfortable, the ones who have it all figured out. He blesses the poor in spirit, the people who know how empty their own hands are. He blesses those who mourn, the meek, the hungry, the merciful, the persecuted. Everyone the world steps over, Jesus stops and crowns. In the kingdom He is describing, the people at the bottom are exactly the ones heaven leans toward. If life has emptied you out, if you are mourning, if you feel too gentle and too small to win in this world, Jesus is not telling you to toughen up. He is telling you that you are precisely the kind of person the kingdom belongs to. Then He turned and looked at the ordinary people in front of Him, the fishermen and the farmers and the nobodies, and He gave them an astonishing identity. You are the salt of the earth, He said. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then hides it under a bowl. You put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, He said, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. He did not say, try to become light someday. He said you already are. The quiet, unremarkable person listening to this right now is meant to be a lamp on a stand, a city on a hill, salt that keeps the whole world from going rotten. And then He went deeper than anyone expected, deeper than the rules people had built their religion on. You have heard that it was said, you shall not murder, He said. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with his brother is already in danger of judgment. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at another with lust has already committed adultery in his heart. Do you see what he was doing? He kept moving the line back from the action to the heart behind it. It is not enough to keep your hands clean while your heart is full of contempt. It is not enough to avoid the act while you nurse the desire. God is not only after your behavior, He is after the deep places no one else can see. And because of that, Jesus said, reconciliation comes before religion. If you are bringing your gift to the altar, He said, and there you remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift right there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Think about that. You can be standing in the very act of worship, and God will say, stop. Go make peace with that person you are at odds with. Then come back. The God of this kingdom cares more about the broken relationship between you and another human being than about the offering in your hands. Then came the words that are perhaps the hardest He ever spoke and the most revolutionary. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. If anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them too. And then He said the line that has confronted every generation. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Love your enemies, not tolerate them, not avoid them, love them and pray for them. Why? He asked. So that you may be children of your Father in heaven, who causes His sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love only those who love you, what reward is that? Even the most ruthless people love their own. The kingdom is not a tribe that loves its own and curses outsiders. It is a family that learns to love the way the Father loves, pouring out sun and rain on the deserving and the undeserving alike. Be perfect, Jesus said, as your heavenly Father is perfect. He was calling them up into the very character of God. And in the middle of all this, He taught them how to live their goodness quietly, away from the applause. When you give to the needy, He said, do not announce it with trumpets the way the hypocrites do, to be honored by others. They have already received their reward in full. Instead, when you give, do not even let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving is done in secret. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. The same with prayer, He said. Do not pray on the street corners to be seen. Go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. And the same with fasting. Do not put on a gloomy, suffering face to advertise your devotion. The whole point is to live before an audience of one, not for the crowd, not for the likes, for the Father who sees in secret. And then, when His disciples wondered how they should even speak to God, Jesus gave them words so simple a child can pray them, and so deep that no one has ever exhausted them. This is how you should pray, He said. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Notice how it begins, not my Father, but our Father. Not a private God, but a Father shared by everyone praying it. And notice that line tucked in the middle, the one Jesus circled back to, forgive us as we have forgiven others. He even added, if you forgive others when they sin against you, your Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, your Father will not forgive you. The mercy we receive and the mercy we give are tied together with a single knot. Then He lifted their eyes off of their possessions and onto something that lasts. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, he said, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do not destroy, and thieves do not break in. And then the sentence that explains it all: for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. You can tell what you truly love by following your treasure. Your heart goes wherever you put your money, your time, your hope. No one, he said, can serve two masters. You will love one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. And because he knew that the thing that keeps most of us awake at night is not greed, but fear, the gnawing worry about whether we will have enough, he said some of the most comforting words ever spoken. Do not worry about your life, he said, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? Look at the wildflowers, how they grow. They do not labor or spin, yet not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and gone tomorrow, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, he said, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we wear? Your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. If your mind is racing tonight with everything you cannot control, with all the what-ifs of tomorrow, hear him, your Father knows. Seek him first, and let tomorrow carry its own weight when it comes. He had a word, too, about the way we look at each other. Do not judge, he said, or you too will be judged, for in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And then he painted a picture that is almost funny in how exact it is. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, he asked, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's. He was not forbidding us to ever help one another. He was forbidding the proud, blind, critical spirit that magnifies everyone else's small faults while staying comfortably blind to its own enormous ones. Deal with your own heart first. Then you can help your brother with gentle, clear-eyed love instead of contempt. And then, knowing how impossible all of this sounds, Jesus pointed them toward the only place this kind of life can come from, asking. Ask, he said, and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find, knock, and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? The Father he keeps describing is not stingy, not reluctant, not waiting to be impressed. He is a good Father who gives good gifts to children who simply ask. And from all of it, Jesus distilled one rule that holds the whole law together. In everything, he said, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets, all the commandments, all the deep teaching. It can be carried in a single sentence small enough for a child and large enough to fill a life. Treat people the way you long to be treated. Then he warned them that this road is narrow, and few choose it. Enter through the narrow gate, he said, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many go through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. And he told them how to know the real from the false. By their fruit you will recognize them. A good tree bears good fruit, and a bad tree bears bad fruit. You cannot fake fruit forever. What grows out of a life eventually tells the truth about its roots. And he ended that Sermon on the Mountain with a picture that asks one question of every person who has ever heard him. Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice, he said, is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because its foundation was on the rock. But everyone who hears these words and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Notice, both men heard the words. Both houses faced the same storm. The only difference was that one man built his life on what he heard, and the other only listened and walked away. The storms come for everyone. The question Jesus leaves us with is not whether the rain will fall. It is what your life is built on when it does. And when he had finished, the crowds were amazed, because he taught as one who had authority, not like the scribes, but like a man who knew firsthand the heart of God. But Jesus did not only describe the kingdom, he kept telling people what it is like, and he did it through pictures drawn from the soil and the fields and the everyday world they lived in. He told these stories, parables, to anyone with ears willing to hear. The first and most important one was about a farmer scattering seed. A farmer went out to sow his seed. Jesus said, as he scattered it, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where the soil was shallow. It sprang up quickly, but when the sun rose, the young plants were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. But still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 160 or 30 times what was sown. And then he said, almost like a riddle, whoever has ears, let them hear. Later, alone with his disciples, he explained it, and the explanation is for us as much as for them. The seed, he said, is the word of God, the message of the kingdom. And the four soils are four kinds of hearts. The seed on the path is the one who hears the word, but does not understand it, and the evil one comes and snatches it away before it can take root. The seed on the rocky ground is the one who hears the word and receives it at once with joy, but has no root, and so when trouble or persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. The seed among the thorns is the one who hears, but the worries of this life, and the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desire for other things crowd in and choke the word, so that it never bears fruit. But the seed on good soil is the one who hears the word and understands it and holds on to it, and through patience produces a crop many times over. Here is the searching question that parable puts to each of us. It is the same seed every time. The word that fell on the path is the same word that fell on the good soil. The difference is never the seed. The difference is the soil. What kind of ground is your heart tonight? Is it hardened and unable to receive? Shallow, full of quick enthusiasm with no roots underneath? Crowded with so many worries and wants that there's no room for anything to grow? Or is it soft, open, ready, willing to receive the word, hold on to it, and let it bear fruit over the long, patient seasons of a life? Then he told another about the same kingdom growing in a hostile world. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and slipped away. When the plants grew, the weeds appeared among the wheat, and the servants came and asked, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed? Where did these weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he said. "Do you want us to pull them up?" The servants asked. "No," he answered, because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At the harvest I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned, then gather the wheat into my barn. It is a parable for anyone who has ever looked at the world and asked why God allows good and evil to grow side by side. The answer is patience. The harvest is coming, and the sorting will be done by the one who can tell wheat from weeds. Until then, both grow in the same field, and we are not asked to do God's sorting for him. And then he reached for the smallest thing he could find. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like a mustard seed, the tiniest of all the seeds a farmer plants. Yet when it grows, it becomes the largest of the garden plants, a tree where the birds come and perch in its branches. And it is like yeast, he said, that a woman takes and mixes into a great batch of flour until it works all the way through the dough. Do you feel the encouragement in those two pictures? The kingdom does not arrive with armies and trumpets and overwhelming force. It starts impossibly small, a seed, a pinch of yeast, a handful of fishermen on a hillside, and it grows quietly, invisibly, unstoppably, until it has filled everything. Never despise the small beginning. Never think your tiny seed of faith is too small to matter. That is exactly how the kingdom always starts. Then he told two short stories about what the kingdom is worth. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy he went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Notice the joy in those stories. The man does not sell everything reluctantly, gritting his teeth at the sacrifice. He sells it all in his joy, because he has found something so valuable that everything else suddenly looks like small change. That is what it is like when a person truly finds the kingdom. It does not feel like giving things up. It feels like finally finding the one thing worth everything. And then a story to balance it, a sober one. The kingdom of heaven, he said, is like a net let down into the lake that catches all kinds of fish. When it is full, the fishermen pull it ashore, sit down, and sort the good fish into baskets and throw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age, he said. The good and the bad swim together now, caught in the same net of the world. But a sorting is coming. The kingdom is gloriously open to all, and it is also serious. Both things are true, and Jesus pressed that seriousness further, because he wanted no one to be caught off guard. He told a story about 10 young women waiting to meet a bridegroom at a wedding. 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. The foolish ones took their lamps but brought no extra oil. The wise ones brought jars of oil along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time coming, and they all grew drowsy and fell asleep. Then at midnight the cry rang out, "Here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." They all woke and trimmed their lamps. But the foolish ones found their lamps going out, and they said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil." "No," the wise ones answered, "there may not be enough for both of us. Go and buy some for yourselves." But while they were gone, the bridegroom arrived, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others came knocking. "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he answered, "Truly I tell you, I don't know you." Therefore Jesus said, "Keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." It is a parable about readiness. The oil is the kind of thing you cannot borrow at the last second and cannot fake. Some preparation of the heart has to be done now, in the long, ordinary waiting before the midnight cry. And then he told a story that has unsettled comfortable people ever since, the story of the bags of gold. A man going on a journey called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his ability, and then he left. The one with 5 bags put his money to work and gained 5 more. The one with 2 did the same and gained 2 more. But the one who had received the single bag dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money there. After a long time, the master returned and settled accounts. To the first 2 he said the same beautiful words, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." But the third came and said, "Master, I knew you were a hard man, so I was afraid, and I hid your gold in the ground. Here is what belongs to you." And the master called him wicked and lazy. The man's sin was not that he lost the money. It was that he did nothing with it. He let fear bury what he had been given. And the lesson lands on all of us. Whatever you have been entrusted with, your gifts, your years, your one small bag of gold, was given to be used, not buried. The tragedy is not failing while you try. The tragedy is burying your life in the ground out of fear and handing it back untouched. And then Jesus lifted the curtain on the very end and showed what the King will be looking for when all of this is over. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, he said, with all the angels he will sit on his throne, and all the nations will be gathered before him. And he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. To those on his right he will say, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." And here is the part that should stop us cold. The righteous will be confused. They will answer, "Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and help you?" They did not even know they were doing it for him. And the King will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." That is where the whole Sermon on the Mountain and all the parables of the kingdom finally come to rest. The King is hidden in the least of these. He is in the hungry person, and the lonely stranger, and the sick, and the imprisoned, and the forgotten. And the great surprise at the end of all things will be that every cup of water, every open door, every visit, every small unremembered kindness done to the lowest person was done to him. The kingdom Jesus came to bring is not finally measured by the size of our words or the loudness of our worship. It is measured by whether love became real in our hands for the people the world overlooks. This is the kingdom among us. It begins like a mustard seed and grows to fill the earth. It belongs to the poor in spirit and the meek and the merciful. It loves its enemies, gives in secret, refuses to worry, forgives without counting, and builds its house on rock. And in the end, it recognizes its king in the face of the hungry stranger at the gate. But there was something the crowds had not yet fully seen. What would happen when this kingdom of words met the storms, the sickness, the death, and the despair of the real world? They were about to find out that the one teaching all of this on the mountain had the power to do everything he said. It began with a sentence so ordinary that no one in the boat suspected what the night would hold. Evening had come, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side of the lake." So they left the crowd behind and took him along, just as he was, in the boat, and other boats went with them. And Jesus, exhausted from a long day of teaching, lay down in the stern, put his head on a cushion, and fell asleep. Then the lake turned on them. A furious squall came down out of the hills the way storms do on that water, sudden and violent. The wind screamed. The waves rose up and broke over the sides of the boat, and water began pouring in faster than they could bail it out, until the boat was nearly swamped and sinking beneath them. And remember, Several of these men were fishermen. This was their lake. They had spent their lives on it. If these men were terrified, the storm was real. They had seen everything this water could do, and they were certain they were about to drown. And through all of it, Jesus slept. There is something almost unbearable in that image. The disciples fighting for their lives in the dark, and the Lord asleep in the back of the boat, his head on a cushion, the rain soaking him, the boat heaving, and still he sleeps. So they did what we all do when the storm is winning. They woke him, and the words came out of them raw and accusing. "Teacher, don't you care if we drown? Don't you care? How can you sleep while we are dying?" It is the oldest question of the frightened human heart, the one we hurl at heaven in the middle of our own storms. God, do you even care that I am drowning down here? Jesus got up, and he did not first calm the disciples. He turned and spoke to the storm itself. He rebuked the wind, and he said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And in that instant the wind died, and the water went flat, and there was a great and total calm. Not a gradual settling, not the storm slowly blowing itself out, an immediate, complete stillness, as if the lake itself had been waiting all along for permission to be quiet. Then he turned to his disciples, and he asked them a question, so gentle it must have humbled them more than any rebuke. "Why are you so afraid?" he said. "Do you still have no faith?" And they were left more astonished by him than they had been by the storm. They looked at one another and whispered, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Hold that scene if you are in a storm tonight, because there are two truths in it, and you need both. The first is that Jesus does not always wake up when we want him to. Sometimes he seems to be asleep in the back of the boat, while everything we love is going under, and the silence feels like he does not care. But the second truth answers the first. He was in the boat the whole time. He never abandoned them to the storm. He was with them in it, and when the moment came, the same voice that taught the multitudes on the mountain spoke 3 words to the chaos, and the chaos obeyed. Your storm may not be stilled the second you cry out, but the one who is with you in the boat is greater than the storm, and the storm knows his voice. When they reached the other side, they ran straight into a darkness deeper than any weather. A man came out to meet them from among the tombs, a man no one could control. For a long time he had worn no clothes and lived not in a house but in the graveyard, among the dead. Many times he had been chained hand and foot and put under guard. But he had torn the chains apart and broken free, and the demons that tormented him drove him into the wild and lonely places, where he would cry out and cut himself on the stones. Day and night he was, by any measure, a lost cause, the most broken man in the region, the one everyone had given up on, chained up and looked away from. And Jesus had crossed an entire sea, through a storm that nearly killed them all, to reach this one man. When the man saw Jesus, he fell at his feet and cried out at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already commanded the unclean spirit to come out of him. And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," came the answer, "for we are many." A name that told the whole story of a man so overrun, so occupied by darkness, that he had almost forgotten he was a person at all. And Jesus cast the whole legion out of him. And here is the picture that the townspeople found when they came running to see what had happened. They found the man, the one who had screamed among the tombs, the one no chain could hold, the one they had all written off, sitting at the feet of Jesus, dressed and in his right mind. Sitting, quiet, clothed, whole, calm, himself again perhaps for the first time in years. And the people were afraid, because they had never seen anything like it, never imagined that man could be reached, let alone restored. When Jesus was about to leave, the man begged to go with him. But Jesus told him no. He gave him a different mission. "Return home," he said, "and tell how much God has done for you." So, The man went away and told everyone all over the region how much Jesus had done for him. If you have ever felt like the man among the tombs, too far gone, too broken, chained by something you cannot break on your own, a lost cause that even you have given up on, understand what that story is doing. Jesus crossed the sea for him. There is no one out at the edge of the graveyard, in the dark, that he will not cross a storm to reach. On his way back, the crowds pressed around him again, and two very different people reached out to him on the same day, and both of them, in their desperation, found him. A synagogue leader named Jairus came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come, because his only daughter, a little girl of about 12, was dying. So Jesus went with him, and the crowd thronged so thick around them that they could barely move. And in that crowd was a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. 12 years, she had spent everything she had on doctors, and instead of getting better, she had only grown worse. 12 years of illness, of shame, of being unclean and untouchable in her society, of being pushed to the edges. And she said to herself, "If I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed." So she came up behind him in the crush of the crowd and reached out and touched the edge of his cloak. And immediately the bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was free of it. But Jesus stopped. "Who touched me?" he asked. The disciples thought it was a strange question. The whole crowd was pressing against him. But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." He would not let her slip away healed but unknown, a face in the crowd. And the woman, seeing she could not stay hidden, came trembling and fell at his feet and told him, in front of everyone, the whole truth, her years of suffering, her reaching out, her healing. And he looked at her. This woman the world had treated as untouchable for 12 years and called her by the tenderest name. "Daughter," he said, "your faith has healed you. Go in peace." She came to take a healing in secret, and she left having been seen, named, and called a daughter. But while he was still speaking to her, word came from Jairus' house. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Imagine standing there as a father, your only child gone, and watching Jesus stop for someone else's healing while your daughter slipped away. But Jesus heard it, and he turned to Jairus and said, "Don't be afraid. Just believe." When they reached the house, the mourners were already wailing, and Jesus said, "Stop wailing. She is not dead but asleep." And they laughed at him because they knew the girl was dead. But he took only the parents and 3 of his disciples, and he went in to where the child lay, and he took her cold hand in his, and he said, "My child, get up." And her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. And he told them, in the middle of their astonishment, to give her something to eat, a small, gentle, human detail. The girl was hungry. He was thinking of her dinner, 2 daughters healed on one road, a woman the world rejected, and a child the world had given up for dead. And the same lessons runs through both. There's no case too long, no case too late for Jesus. 12 years of bleeding and a body already cold, neither was beyond his reach. He kept healing, and one day he met 10 men at once who carried the same curse. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy stood at a distance, because the law required them to keep their distance from everyone, exiled by their disease, and they called out together, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And Jesus said simply, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went on the way, they were cleansed, all 10 of them, everyone healed as they walked. But only one came back. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned around and came back, praising God at the top of his voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan, the foreigner, the outsider, the one you'd least expect. And Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give thanks except this foreigner?" And he said to the man, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well. 10 were healed, 1 was grateful. And it is worth asking ourselves, in our own lives, how often we are the 9 who receive the gift and walk on, never turning back to say thank you, and how rarely we are the one who comes back. On another day in a synagogue, his compassion collided head-on with cold religion. There was a woman there who had been crippled by a spirit for 18 years. She was bent over, unable to straighten up at all, 18 years of looking only at the ground, never able to lift her head and see the sky. When Jesus saw her, he did not wait for her to ask. He called her forward and said, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." He put his hands on her, and immediately she straightened up. And the first thing she did, after 18 years bent toward the dust, was praise God. But it was the Sabbath, and the leader of the synagogue was indignant. He scolded the crowd, "There are 6 days for work. Come and be healed on those days, not on the Sabbath." He cared more about his rules than about a woman who had been bent double for 18 years. And Jesus answered him with holy anger. "You hypocrites," he said, "doesn't each of you untie your ox or your donkey on the Sabbath and lead it out to give it water? Then shouldn't this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has kept bound for 18 long years, be set free on the Sabbath?" And his opponents were humiliated, while the people were delighted at all the wonderful things he was doing. He would not let a single rule, however holy it sounded, stand between a suffering person and her freedom. The Sabbath was made to give rest to people like her, not to keep them bound. And then there was a man by the side of the road outside Jericho, a blind beggar named Bartimaeus, sitting in the dust where he sat every day. When he heard that Jesus of Nazareth was passing by, he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And the people around him told him to be quiet, to stop making a scene, to know his place. But he would not be silenced. He shouted all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped. In the middle of the crowd, on his way to Jerusalem, he stopped and said, "Call him." So they called the blind man. "Cheer up," they said. "On your feet, he's calling you." And Bartimaeus threw off his cloak, probably the only thing he owned, the thing he spread out to collect coins, the thing that kept him warm. He threw it aside and jumped up and came to Jesus. And Jesus asked him a question that he asks every one of us. "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said, "Rabbi, I want to see." And Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." And immediately he received his sight. And the first face those new eyes ever saw was the face of Jesus. And he followed him down the road. Bartimaeus shows us how to come, refusing to be silenced, throwing off whatever holds us back, and answering honestly when Jesus asks what we really want. But the greatest sign of all, the one the crowds never forgot, happened on a hillside near the sea, when the day was nearly gone and the people were hungry. A great crowd had followed Jesus, thousands of them, because they had seen the signs he performed in healing the sick. And as evening came, Jesus looked out over that enormous crowd and said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked it only to test him, because he already knew what he was going to do. Philip did the math, the way we always do the math, and the math was hopeless. It would take more than half a year's wages, he said, to give each of them even a bite. There was simply not enough. Then Andrew spoke up, almost embarrassed to mention it. "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?" 5 loaves and 2 fish, a boy's lunch, against a crowd of 5,000 men, besides women and children. It was nothing. It was laughable. It was exactly the kind of small, insufficient thing we are always ashamed to bring. But Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." And there was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down, wave after wave of hungry people settling onto the green hillside as the sun went down. Then Jesus took the 5 loaves, gave thanks, and began to distribute them to those who were seated, as much as they wanted. And he did the same with the fish, and somehow in his hands the little became enough, and then more than enough. They all ate until they were full, and when everyone had eaten, he told the disciples to gather the leftover pieces so that nothing would be wasted, and they filled 12 baskets with what remained from 5 barley loaves. 12 baskets left over from a boy's lunch. Never be ashamed of the small thing you have to offer. Bring your 5 loaves. In his hands they feed a multitude. That night the disciples got into a boat to cross the lake while Jesus went up the mountain alone to pray. It grew dark. A strong wind came up and the water turned rough, and they strained at the oars, getting nowhere. And when they had rowed 3 or 4 miles into the wind and the dark, they saw something that filled them with terror, a figure walking toward them across the surface of the water. But it was Jesus, and he called to them over the wind the words he is always calling to his frightened people across the dark water. "It is I, don't be afraid." And they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the shore they were heading for. He walks across the very thing that is trying to drown you. The wind and the dark that terrify you are to him simply a path to reach you. The next day, the crowd came looking for him, but Jesus could see that many of them were chasing him only because he had filled their stomachs. So he tried to lift their eyes higher. "Do not work for food that spoils," he said, "but for food that endures to eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you." They asked for a sign and reminded him that their ancestors had eaten manna in the wilderness. And Jesus answered with one of the great declarations of who he is. "I am the bread of life," he said. "Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." He was telling them and us that the deepest hunger we carry is not for bread. We can be fed, full, comfortable, and still starving inside for something we cannot name. We chase it through possessions and pleasures and achievements, and we are hungry again by morning. And here is a man standing on the shore of Galilee saying, "The thing your soul has been starving for all your life, it is me. Come to me, and you will never go hungry again." It was a hard saying, and many who had followed him turned back that day and no longer walked with him. Jesus turned to the 12 and asked almost quietly, "You do not want to leave too, do you?" And Simon Peter answered with words that have become the answer of everyone who has ever truly seen him. "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe and to know that you are the Holy One of God. To whom shall we go? Once you have heard this voice, the voice that stills storms and crosses seas for one broken man, that calls untouchable women daughter, and raises dead children for their dinner, that feeds the multitude from a boy's lunch, and walks to you across the very water that frightens you. Once you have heard that voice, where else is there to go? He has the words of eternal life." And on the night before everything changed, he would show his friends just how far that love was willing to go. It was just before the Passover, and Jesus knew that his hour had come, the hour to leave this world and go to the Father. The gospel says it in a way that should slow us down. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The end, not until it got hard, not until they disappointed him, not until one of them sold him for silver and the rest ran away. To the end. And on this last night, with the cross only hours away, with betrayal already moving in the room, he did not gather his disciples to be served. He got up from the table to serve them. The evening meal was in progress. Jesus knew the Father had put all things under his power, that he had come from God and was going back to God. He had every reason to sit at the head of the table and let them wait on him. Instead, and feel the weight of every small action here, he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was around him. You have to understand what foot washing was. The roads were dirt. People wore sandals. Feet were filthy by the end of a day. Washing feet was the lowest job in the house, the task given to the lowest servant, work so demeaning that a Hebrew slave could not be forced to do it. And here was the Lord of all, the one who calmed the sea and fed the multitude and raised the dead, on his knees one by one, cradling the dirty feet of fishermen and tax collectors in his hands and washing them clean, including, that night, the feet of the man who was about to betray him. When he came to Simon Peter, Peter pulled back, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" The whole thing was upside down to him. It was unbearable to watch his master kneel. Jesus answered, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," Peter said, "you shall never wash my feet." And Jesus said something that goes far past the basin and the towel. "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." There it is. There is the heart of everything. We cannot earn our way to him by being clean enough to deserve it. We come to him dirty, and we let him wash us, or we have no part in him at all. The only thing he asks is that we stop pulling our feet away. When he had finished, he put his clothes back on, returned to his place, and asked them, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." Greatness in his kingdom would never again look like a throne. It would look like a towel and a basin and a willingness to kneel. And it was that same night, around that same table, that he gave them a new command, the command he wanted to be the mark of his people forever. "A new command I give you," he said. "Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Not by their arguments, not by their rituals, not by how right they were, by their love, the world would know who belonged to him by the way they loved each other. But even on that tender night, a shadow was in the room. Jesus was troubled in spirit, and he said, "Truly I tell you, one of you is going to betray me." The disciples stared at one another, lost, unable to imagine which of them he could mean. And quietly Jesus identified the one, Judas, and said to him, "What you are about to do quickly." And Judas took the bread and went out. And the gospel adds 3 words that carry the whole weight of that night, and it was night. Judas walked out into the darkness to do his deed, while the love at the table stayed and gave itself to the end. And Peter, bold, loyal Peter, insisted he would never fall away. "Lord, I will lay down my life for you," he said. And Jesus, who knew him better than he knew himself, answered gently and sadly, "Will you really lay down your life for me? Truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times." He knew Peter would fail him that very night, and he loved him anyway. He had already, hours earlier, washed the feet that would soon run away. Then, seeing the fear rising in their faces, they could feel that something terrible was coming. Jesus spoke some of the most comforting words ever to fall on frightened human hearts. "Do not let your hearts be troubled," he said. "You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am." Hear that promise. If your heart is troubled tonight, he is not leaving us behind. He has gone ahead to prepare a place, a home, a room in the Father's house with our name on it, and he has promised to come back for us so that we can be where he is. Whatever this world takes from you, this is what waits at the end of the road, a Father's house, a prepared place, and the one who loves you coming back to bring you home. Thomas spoke up, confused. "Lord, we don't know where you are going, so how can we know the way?" And Jesus gave one of the great answers of all time. "I am the way and the truth and the life," he said. No one comes to the Father except through me. He did not say he would show them a way, or teach them the truth, or give them a recipe for life. He said he is the way, he is the truth, he is the life. The road home is not a set of directions, it is a person. To find him is to find the way. And then Philip asked the question underneath all our questions. Lord, show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. Just let us see God, and we will be satisfied. And Jesus answered with words that pull back the curtain on everything. Don't you know me, Philip, even after I have been among you such a long time? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Do you want to know what God is like? Look at the one on his knees with the towel. Look at the one who wept at the tomb, who touched the leper, who called the untouchable woman daughter, who ran down the road to the prodigal. Anyone who has seen Jesus has seen the Father. That is who God is. He knew he was leaving them, and he knew they were afraid of being abandoned. So he made them a promise. I will not leave you as orphans, he said. I will come to you. He told them the Father would send another advocate, another helper, to be with them forever, the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, who would live not just alongside them but within them, who would teach them all things and remind them of everything he had said. They would not be left alone. The presence that had walked beside them on the roads of Galilee would come to live inside them. And then he left them a gift, the gift the whole world is searching for and cannot buy. Peace I leave with you, he said. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. The world offers a peace that depends on everything going right. Peace when the bank account is full, when the body is healthy, when no storm is on the horizon. His peace is different. It is a peace he could give to men hours before the worst night of their lives. A peace that does not depend on the absence of the storm, but on the presence of the one who stills it. That is the peace he offers you tonight, not the absence of trouble. He was honest that trouble would come, but a deep, unshakable calm in the middle of it. He had told them before, in another setting, exactly what kind of God was watching over them. I am the good shepherd, he had said. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. A hired hand runs away when the wolf comes, because the sheep are not his, and he does not really care. But the good shepherd stays, he said. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out, and they follow him because they know his voice. And then he made the most reassuring promise. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my Father's hand. If you belong to him, you are held by two hands you cannot fall out of his and the Father's. The wolves can rage, the storms can come, but the sheep in the shepherd's hand are safe, and no power in the universe can pry that grip loose. And on the way out from that Last Supper, he gave them one final picture to live by, a picture of how they would survive once he was gone. I am the true vine, he said, and my Father is the gardener. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. A branch cut off from the vine cannot produce anything. It withers and dies. But a branch that stays connected, that abides, that draws its life from the vine, that branch bears fruit more than it ever could on its own. He was telling them the secret of the whole Christian life in a single image. Stay connected to me. Do not try to live on your own strength. Remain in me the way a branch remains in the vine, and my life will flow through you and bear fruit you could never produce by trying harder. And what fruit? The same fruit he had been pressing toward all along. My command is this, he said, love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And then he said something staggering about how he saw these flawed, frightened men. I no longer call you servants. Instead, I have called you friends. the Lord of all, on the night before he died, looked at the men who would abandon him before sunrise and called them his friends. He was honest with them too, that loving like this in a world like ours would cost something. If the world hates you, he said, keep in mind that it hated me first. He did not promise them an easy road, but he promised them his joy. I have told you this, he said, so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. And as the hour drew closer and their grief grew heavier, he gave them an image every mother understands. A woman giving birth has pain because her time has come, he said. But when her baby is born, she forgets the anguish because of her joy that a child is born into the world. So with you, now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. Your grief is real, he was saying, but it is not the end of the story. It is the labor before the joy. It will not have the last word. And then he said the sentence that has carried his people through 2,000 years of trouble. In this world you will have trouble. He did not pretend otherwise. The trouble is real, and he named it plainly. But take heart, he said, I have overcome the world. Whatever comes, the one who walks with you has already overcome the very thing you are afraid of. Then Jesus did something for them that he still does for us. He prayed, he looked up to heaven, and on the night before the cross, he prayed not only for the men in the room, but for everyone who would ever come to believe in him through their message, which means he prayed that night for you. My prayer is not for them alone, he said. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their word, that all of them may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. He prayed that we would be one. He prayed that we would be with him where he is and see his glory. He prayed that the love the Father has for the Son would be in us. On the last night of his life, with everything he had to fear for himself, he spent his prayer on us. And here is what all of this was building toward, the reason he washed the feet and gave the new command and called them friends and prayed for those not yet born. After he rose, for the grave could not hold the one who is the life, he came back to them, alive over many days, and then he gathered them on a hillside and gave them their mission and a promise. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, he said, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. And as he said it, he was taken up before their eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. And as they stood there, staring up into the sky, 2 men in white stood beside them and said, Why do you stand here looking into the sky? This same Jesus, who has been taken from you into heaven, will come back in the same way you have seen him go. He is coming back. The story is not finished. The Father at the edge of the road is still watching the horizon, and one day he will come. And until that day, the question is simply how to live. The Apostle Paul, who met the risen Jesus and was never the same, put it as plainly as anyone ever has. In view of God's mercy, he wrote, in view of everything we have heard tonight, all the running fathers and washed feet and stilled storms and prepared places, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then he described what that transformed life actually looks like, and it sounds exactly like the heart of Jesus poured into ordinary days. Love must be sincere, hate what is evil, cling to what is good, be devoted to one another in love, honor one another above yourselves, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. As far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That is the whole way of Jesus, brought down to the level of a Tuesday morning. Bless the one who curses you. Sit with the one who mourns. Feed the one who is hungry. Make peace where you can. Overcome the darkness, not by becoming dark yourself, but by stubbornly, quietly answering it with good. And so we come back, at the very end, to the words we started toward, the gentlest invitation Jesus ever spoke, the one that gathers up everything we have heard. He looked out at the crowds, at the tired faces, at the people crushed under the weight of their lives, and he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Come to me, not fix yourself first and then come, not be worthy and then come, weary as you are, burdened as you are, carrying everything you have carried for so long. Come to the one who is gentle and humble in heart, the one who kneels with a towel, the one who runs down the road, the one who calls you by name and holds you in a hand nothing can pry open. And he will give you rest. So tonight, before you sleep, let the noise fall quiet. You have heard who he is. You have seen the Father standing at the edge of the road, watching for you. You have seen the shepherd cross the sea for the one no one else would reach. You have seen mercy refuse to pick up the stone, and love kneel down to wash the dirtiest feet in the room, and the only one with the right to condemn you choose instead to die for you. However far you have wandered, the way home is shorter than you think. However heavy your burden, his arms are open. However loud your life has become, there is a place of rest, and it has your name on it. You do not have to carry it all anymore. You do not have to be strong enough, or clean enough, or good enough. You only have to come. Come to him, all you who are weary and burdened, and he will give you rest. Let these words stay close in your heart tonight. And may you sleep in the peace of the one who is always near, who watches over you, and who has loved you from the very beginning all the way to the end.